Have you ever felt alone despite the many people you deal with every day? Have you ever felt a sense of loneliness and melancholy that makes you empty and sad? And have you ever worried about being afflicted by a sort of depression that takes away the desire to live your days? If you answered yes to even one of these questions, then this story may have a special meaning for you. In fact, we will see the 11 Buddhist lessons to never feel alone and depressed. So stay until the end, because the words with which we will say goodbye will make you reflect and will give you a strong push towards inner peace. But before continuing, if you are not yet one of us, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you can stay updated when new videos come out. Koiro, an elderly monk famous for his wisdom, walked slowly in the temple courtyard, immersed in his thoughts. Meanwhile, the young disciple Tatsu watched him from afar with some anxiety. While the light breeze caressed the leaves of the trees, while the morning sun illuminated the serene face of the monk, Tatsu felt restless, as if there was a storm inside himself ready to explode. "Master," the young man said with a trembling voice, approaching with respect, "I need your help. I am confused and I feel alone. I don't know how to deal with this feeling of emptiness inside me." Koiro slowly turned towards him, smiling kindly. "Come with me," he said, inviting him to follow him into the small temple garden where they would be more peaceful. Once they sat on a soft carpet of grass, Koiro began to speak. "Tatsu, I understand your turmoil. Loneliness can be like a dark shadow that envelops us, but there is a light that can dispel it. Now I will tell you about the 11 teachings thanks to which, over the centuries, many monks like us have managed to find emotional balance and mental well-being." Tatsu nodded, listening carefully to his master's words. "The first teaching," continued Koiro, "is linked to wisdom. Recognizing that life is impermanent and that pain is part of its fabric is fundamental. Accepting this truth, in fact, leads us to live in the present moment, freeing us from fear of the future and regret about the past." "Yes, Master," Tatsu replied with a sigh, "but it's hard to accept pain when bad things happen to you or people let you down." "I know, Tatsu, but it is through pain that we can grow and find our inner strength. Take the lotus flower, for example. It has its roots in the deepest mud, but despite this it blossoms pure and beautiful on the surface of the water. Think of the mud as the pain that nourishes our spiritual growth, a pain through which we can temper our soul, becoming stronger and more compassionate people." Tatsu felt inspired by his mentor's words. "Thank you, Koiro. Your words are starting to open a glimmer of light in my sadness. Continue, please." "The second teaching is related to ethics," said Koiro. "Practicing compassion and kindness towards others allows us to cultivate meaningful relationships that support us in times of loneliness." "Master, sometimes I feel so angry towards others," Tatsu admitted with a tormented expression. The monk placed an affectionate hand on the young man's shoulder. "Anger is also part of the human experience, Tatsu. But it is through awareness and compassion that we can transform it into love. Remember to be like the river that flows through the valley. Let your anger dissolve in the flow of your consciousness so as not to ruin your life and the lives of others." Koiro went on with another teaching, patience. "In the quiet of the mind," he said, "we find the strength to endure the storms of life without losing our inner serenity." "Patience is hard to find when the pain is so intense," Tatsu said, clenching his fists. And Koiro, smiling with understanding, replied, "Patience is like the seed that awaits spring. Even though the pain may seem unbearable, remember that it will pass. It is only a matter of time. In the end, it will become just a melancholy memory." While Tatsu felt comforted by the master's words, the master continued on about perseverance. Despite the challenges and difficulties we encounter along the way, we must continue to move forward with determination and courage. Master, sometimes I feel so tired, Tatsu confessed, lowering his gaze, that I can't move forward. Tiredness is part of the journey, Koiro said gently, but it is precisely when we feel we have no strength left that we must find the courage to continue. Like the warrior who, despite the pain, never gives up in the face of adversity, you too must find your inner strength to move forward. Another thing you absolutely must work on, continued Koiro, is concentration. Keeping the mind concentrated, in fact, allows us to see the truth clearly and to overcome the illusions that imprison us. Master, my mind is so restless, Tatsu said in frustration. The mind is like a lotus flower floating on the surface of the water, said Koiro. Though the surface may be shaken by the waves of thought, the root remains firm and still. Find your center, dear boy, and let your mind settle like the still waters of a lake. Tatsu closed his eyes and breathed deeply, trying to find inner calm. Thank you, Koiro. Continue, please. Generosity is another valuable lesson you must follow, Koiro said. Sharing what we have with others brings us joy and nourishes our spirit. Master, you are absolutely right, and this is why I feel guilty, because I often feel selfish, and this takes me away from being generous with others. Generosity doesn't just have to do with the act of giving for its own sake, but also with the heart with which you do it, Koiro said. Be like the river that flows freely through the forest, bringing life to everything in its path. You too can bring joy to others with the gift of your love. While Tatsu was moved by his master's words, he continued by talking about kindness. Being kind to others, and to ourselves first and foremost, allows us to create a world of harmony and peace. Master, sometimes I feel so angry with myself that I am anything but kind, Tatsu said in a low voice. Kindness begins with self-respect, Koiro said compassionately. Remember that you are a precious and unique being, worthy of love and kindness. Be kind to yourself, and the world will respond with kindness. Gratitude was the next teaching the elderly monk spoke about. Recognizing the blessings in our lives allows us to live with joy and appreciation. Gratitude is like the sun shining in the sky. Even on the darkest days, remember to look beyond the clouds and find the light that shines within you. Be grateful for every breath, for every heartbeat, for every smile that is given to you, for every flower that colors your walks, and you will see the world with new eyes. The 10th lesson is to be humble, said Koiro. Recognizing our smallness in the face of the universe allows us to live with humility and respect for all living beings. Master, sometimes I feel proud, especially when there is a misbehaving person on the other side, Tatsu said. Remember that humility is like a leaf dancing in the wind, Koiro said. Although she may seem fragile, it is her flexibility that allows her to withstand the storms of life. Therefore, be humble, because being humble is a sign of greatness and not of mediocrity. And if you do, the world will open up to you in all its splendor. Loving is the other teaching I want to talk to you about, said Koiro. Loving without reservations allows us to connect with the heart of the universe and find inner peace. Love is the very essence of life, Koiro said with a compassionate smile. Even when you feel alone, remember that you are surrounded by the unconditional love of the universe. Remember, young friend, that no matter how lonely, sad, and depressed we feel, there is always something we can learn from every experience and every encounter, so that we can find inner peace and awareness and gratitude.